What's going on? What's going on? These are my MANversation mornings, and today we have a MANversation mailbag from our very own Portia from Be Social Facebook group. Portia, I don't know your last name, but I just decided I'm going to dive and dig into this. She has a very interesting scenario. Now, first and foremost, I am a therapist, but these are not therapeutic pursuits. This is just from the mind of a man, James Bush. Let's get into it. Now, girl meets guy. After they express dating to the world, aka Facebook, women starts revealing who they are to him. Man gets video out with women in his lap and dancing on him. Okay. Girl who's now dating feels a way and addresses it to be told that that's how I've operated in other relationships, so I didn't think it was a problem. The woman he's dating adjusts and takes on what's good for the goose is good for the gander mentality. That's a winning attitude. Shortly after, he starts accusing her of liking men she never even spoke to behind a hello, so they take a break. Pause. During this time, the girl goes and messes with someone she's familiar with from the past, doesn't say anything about it to the guy she's been dating because they're on a break and he really entitled to know. Anyway, eventually that fizzles out and they get back together. The relationship is rocky, though, because he's displaying signs of insecurity and is very cold. The girl begins overcompensating, trying to show she's apologetic for not being forthcoming, though she didn't feel he needed to know, but her efforts aren't appreciated, or so she thinks. So, boom, she ends up making out with someone, and well, when the guy she's dating finds out, he is enraged. Crazy thing is, it's a girl, not a guy. But cheating is cheating, right? Hmm. Anyway, moving along, after this is told, girl has a gut feeling that something isn't right with the guy she's dating. He starts moving funny and becomes a tad unpredictable. She ends up finding out the man has not only been cheating, but with multiple women, going out of town with exes, and basically hiding his indiscretions while making sure hers are on display to anyone who'd listen. During this time, they share the space. Well, he ends up putting girl out after this via text and says, "You have 30 days to move," because he was assaulted. A shirt grab was the assault. Now, my question is, with this story, was it the girl that made the relationship what it was, or the man? Was the foundation for how they operated laid by the man or the woman? All right. Let's dive into this good old one. Portia, first and foremost, girl meets guy after they express dating to the world, aka Facebook. Now, one of the things is a little bit challenged with people that are so quick to put relationships out on social media or whatnot, and from a therapeutic standpoint, because I see a lot of guys who do that, and I see a lot of people who suffer infidelity. And so while we have these wonderful pictorials of you guys on the beach, you guys at weddings, you guys on date night, I get the he was in the DMs of somebody else, or someone else got their back blown out in all kinds of ways 6 ways from Sunday. Right. So the validity or the the veritas of those pictures and that kind of stuff is just kind of dicey. So I ain't really too in the mood with that. But to each their own. If you want to showcase your love, so be it, or lust to some extent. So women start revealing who they are to him. Maybe this is a guy. Maybe he had low self-esteem, low self-worth. He didn't think he could get laid on Labor Day or anything along those lines. So because of that, now he is a hot commodity. People are looking for him. They checking for him that he has never seen before. And so, he's feeling himself to some extent. Potentially. Okay, man gets videoed out with woman in his lap and dancing on him. All right, we've got eyes everywhere. So that tends to happen. Guess what? We're in a digital age, technological. If something to be found, it will be found on that one. Girl who now he's dating feels a way and addresses it to be told that that's how I've operated in other relationships, so I didn't think it was a problem. Hey, he's done that in other relationships. But guess what? That's one of those things that you have with the relationship orientation. You go to work and you get this big old handbook about things you're not supposed to do at the job and things you're supposed to do. Well, guess what? That's one of those things that pretty much should have been covered. Guess what? I like being at places and having women sit on my lap and dance on me, and I'll dance on them, and it's okay. I go to strip clubs. I go to all other types of events and things like that. I involve myself in things that potentially Popular society may not say it's be tasteful, but that's who I am. That's what I do. That's a conversation that should have been had in the beginning. Apparently, it didn't look like it did. So the woman he's dating adjusts and takes on what's good for the goose is good for the gander mentality. Oh, she's on that get back right now. So, man, her ego is somewhat bruised. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to level the playing field to some extent. If he can do it, I can do it well. And the only thing I say to that is how is that leading to favorable outcomes with a relationship? It doesn't, especially when you're operating in that type of mentality, that mindset. That mindset that, look, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove this to you. And look, if you're going to do this, why not just, man, just bounce? Because if it's not suiting you, it's not suiting you. I don't know. This is a question. Shortly after he starts accusing her of liking men she never even spoke to behind a hello, so they take a break. Well, that was very fragile. We can go on. It's one of those things. I just wonder sometimes about, like, with before social media. Well, I was born before it, but before, it's like, how did we navigate relationships? Did we let likes and hearts and everything break us up? Or it's kind of weird. But I mean, some people, they feel strongly about that, and that's a part of the relationship orientation. You have to know who you are dealing with. If that moves that individual, if that bothers them, then guess what? That's going to be a problem. And if what bothers them, you may feel light about, or you don't necessarily care about, then hey, you need to kind of examine that before you go any further. Moving on. During this time, the girl goes and messes with someone she's familiar with from the past. Guess what? She spent the block. All right. Doesn't say anything about it to the guy she's been dating because they're on a break and is really entitled to know. Yeah, she really doesn't have to. Anyway, eventually that fizzles out and they get back together. Those little short-term, pauses or moments or breaks between, it's like, yeah, it's not really gonna last. If you definitely, if you ever get a chance to study relationship cycles, where you talk about the honeymoon stage, the storming stage, the reality stage, and things along those lines, you start to get to why stuff happens at a rapid pace with relationships as it does, where it's like grand opening, grand closing. It's very fascinating along with that. Now, moving on. The relationship is rocky because he displays signs of insecurity and is very cold. Well, yes, I guess what was good for the goose was not good for the gander. Just his point. The girl begins overcompensating, trying to show she's apologetic for not being forthcoming, though she didn't feel he needed to know. But her efforts aren't appreciated, or so she thinks. So, boom, she ends up making out with someone, and well, when the guy she's dating finds out, he is enraged. Again, let's go back to the relationship orientation. What can we do? What can we not do? What are the no-goes? What are the non-negotiables? What are the red flags? What are the things that just will have me walk out of this environment? That should have been one of them. I mean, maybe she has an affinity for women and she likes to make out with other young ladies. I mean, potentially. I'm not here to judge and I don't have a heaven or hell to put her in. But for that guy, maybe that is a no-go for him. And if it is, then he needs to know about that. That's stuff you cover early on, not after the fact. After the fact, you get places like this. All right. Anyway, moving along, after this is told, girl has a gut feeling something isn't right, and the guy she's dating, he starts moving funny and becomes a tad unpredictable. Sounds like he's checked out to some extent, to be honest with you. She ends up finding out the man has not only been cheating, but with multiple women. So he's checked out and he's getting sloppy now. Because before he was probably trying to hide it, now he's just sloppy. Going out of town with exes and basically hiding his indiscretions while making sure hers are on display to anyone who'd listen. Well, we all know what that is. It's like, we're doing the same thing, but I'm going to make you the villain and I'm going to make myself the victim out of it. During this time, they shared a space. Well, he ends up putting girl out after this via text and says, you have 30 days to move because he was assaulted. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be honest with you. I do not get down with assault of any kind. And yes, assault comes in various forms. And please know the laws of your land. Taking the phone out of another person's hand is assault. And you pushing and tugging on them is assault. And granted, no matter what me or you may feel about it, it is what it is. And it can get you anger management and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go into that right now. But one thing I didn't want to skip over was the fact that she lived with him or he lived with her. And why are these two individuals, I guess what they say, shacking and jacking? There is no commitment and there is no guarantee that, yes, even though they may be quote unquote exclusive, that he has to come home and that he has to be in on time or whatever happened. There's no guarantee that she has to do anything. Guess what? There is no commitment. There is no ring. There's nothing that binds them together. They are just existing in a space. And at any given time, she can be deported, as they say. Now, Portia, you have the question. My question is, was it the girl that made the relationship what it was or the man? Well, I'm just going to say both of them. Both of them made the relationship what it was. Both of them did not cover in the beginning who they were, what their expectations for the relationship was. They didn't clearly flesh those things out. So because they didn't flesh those things out, we have what we have right now. We have chaos. We have confusion. We have people that are reacting instead of doing things that would promote the relationship and make it better in the end. All right. Now, this is, she says, was a foundation for how they operate laid by the man or the woman? No, there wasn't no foundation or anything along those lines. And again, so something that we have in therapy, it's called treatment plans. And the treatment plan has a goal. Everything that happens within the treatment plan, whether there's interventions, whether they have to line up so that the goal is reached at the end. If we're not doing things to reach the goals in the end, then what are we doing? We're wasting time. We need to find another plan, another process, another way of doing this. So what I'll say is that a lot of the stuff that was expressed in this letter did not reach the goal of them having a healthy and happy relationship. It met the goal of them having chaos. Yes, because they didn't take the time. They didn't get to learn about one another. They didn't go over certain, no-goes or boundaries or things along those lines. It sounds like a little bit of immaturity is on both of their parts. And then instead of just saying, hey, look, this is over with, let's just call it quits, they tried to continue on it into a point where it made things even worse. And now we have assault in the equation. Not a good thing, not a positive look in that space. All right. That's my MANversation Mailbag for today. My name is James Bush, licensed professional counselor and coach as well in the state of Tennessee, bunch of states, yada, yada, yada. Follow, share, subscribe. That Portia, thank you for this. Definitely looking forward to you sending some more of these because I like to get down with this kind of stuff. All right. Take care. Peace out.